So we have finally gotten a live-action Jaime Reyes movie. The very first time we're getting a live-action Latino superhero on the big screen. Don't get it twisted. It's not the first time, because I've seen people say it's the first Latino superhero movie. Don't forget about Miles Morales. Miles Morales is Latino, as much as people like to try to forget. But with that said, I gotta say, I was mad disappointed with this movie because we didn't get a cameo. And the cameo I'm specifically talking about is Bart Allen as Impulse and Jaime Reyes and Jaime Reyes and Bart Allen are all about the gay kissing. This movie wasn't gay enough for me. Hashtag make it blacker, make it gayer. I'm just kidding. Or am I? And welcome to my safe haven, everybody. Thank you guys so much for clicking on another video and joining me here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. You know I generally wear shirts associated with the thing that I'm reviewing. I don't have a Blue Beetle shirt, but I'm wearing Wonder Woman, so that is DC related. But anyway, if this is your first time checking out my channel, checking out one of my videos, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek, and I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the force. I like to talk superheroes, video games, comic books, action movies, horror movies, sci-fi, fantasy, and of course I like to talk about black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you are interested in, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, become one of my safe haveneers, become a regular here on my channel. Check out the other videos on my channel. Watch, like, share, comment, interact on those videos for the all gay rhythm. But with that said, guys, we are here to talk about the latest project to hit the DC universe. This is technically the first movie to hit the new rebooted DCU. I mean, technically it's really not. The first movie will be the Superman movie with James Gunn, but this movie is going to be incorporated in the new DCU. So this is technically, according to James Gunn, the first movie in the DCU, even though he didn't have anything to do with it. And that movie is Blue Beetle, directed by Angel Manuel Soto. And you know what sucks? Before the writer's strike, because the director actually follows me on Instagram, and he told me that like I was going to be at the red carpet, and he was going to make sure I got to meet him. I got to meet Cholo Maridueña, who plays Jaime Reyes. Most people know him as Miguel from Cobra Kai. I was going to get to hang out and meet with them, but then, you know, the whole writer's strike and the actor strike happened, so there was no official red carpet. So I didn't get to go. So I'm a little sad about that, but I still got to see the movie. So let's talk about Blue Beetle, which officially comes out in theaters, I believe, today's Thursday, so it comes out tonight. The synopsis for Blue Beetle is, Jaime Reyes suddenly finds himself in possession of an ancient relic of alien biotechnology called the Scarab. When the Scarab chooses Jaime to be its symbiotic host, he's bestowed with an incredible suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero, the Blue Beetle. And overall, I do gotta say that I did enjoy the movie, and I loved that the fact that there was a lot of references to Latino culture in this movie, some of which I didn't understand, but that's perfectly fine because it's not for me, not having Hispanic background or Hispanic heritage. Like, yes, my grandmother is Venezuelan, so I am somewhat Hispanic, but I don't identify as that. I didn't grow up around Hispanic people. Most of my culture comes from my mother's side of the family, who's strictly from Trinidad, and so that's the majority of the experience that I have. But I still appreciated that that was in there. And then I also really love the family dynamic that's in this movie, and that's something that's very different than a lot of white superheroes. Even when you think about it with like Kamala Khan or even Miles Morales to a certain degree, where it's like their family is heavily invested and heavily involved in their life. So at a certain point, they're gonna find out that their son or daughter, etc., are superheroes. And so I love the fact that they found out pretty much immediately. There was no hiding him pretending, you know, to go do errands while he's saving the world. Like, from the moment he got the Scarab, they knew he was a superhero. And they were involved in his life and involved in his superheroics. And I love the fact that the family weren't just there as auxiliary characters. No, they played heavily into this movie. And that's something that I enjoyed seeing. It's something that you don't get to see often enough with regards to a superhero's family and their life with their family. And so speaking of his family, my favorite member of the family is his grandmother. His grandmother gets busy in this movie, but not even just that, and in ways that you don't expect. But not even just that, but like, I thought his grandmother was just fun, and she was the glue that really kept the family together. But the biggest MVP for me of the movie was George Lopez, who played Uncle Rudy. Like, the way he transformed in that role, that's just like a way I've never seen George Lopez before in a movie. And I thought his character was super fun and just great to watch. And I would like to see more of Uncle Rudy in these other movies. But also, obviously, this is a Blue Beetle movie. We're talking about Jaime Reyes. We're talking about Cholo Maridueñas. And I thought he did a really good job in playing the lead and playing Jaime Reyes and being this newest addition into the DCEU. And obviously, we saw him in Cobra Kai, so we know he can carry his own in terms of like being the lead of a franchise. And this is just proving that even more with him being the lead of this Blue Beetle franchise. And he definitely did a great job in carrying this. And I would love to see him in the DCEU even more. And then also with that, like talking about him being Blue Beetle, like in terms of like the costume design, because they went, unlike something like a Green Lantern or even sometimes Iron Man to a certain extent, they went practical with the suit, meaning that it was literally, he was in the suit. There was no CGI, as obviously there was some CGI with regards to like the fighting choreographies and the blasts and everything like that. But overall, anytime you saw Cholo Maridueñas in the suit, he was actually in the suit. There was no CGI. And that suit looked beautiful. I was just like, oh wow, they must have hired a cosplayer to make that suit look as good. And you would think that based on how beautiful the suit looked, it would be a no-brainer that they should go more practical with these suits as opposed to just doing CGI. But a lot of times they don't do that, and it kind of makes me, like, I'm baffled by it, why they don't do that more often. But the suit and things like that looked incredible. But I will say, like, some of the CGI with the movie, you could definitely tell it was a much lower budget than a lot of other superhero movies, because some of the CGI did look a little bad in this movie. Almost not Ant-Man and Quantumania bad, but it was definitely moments where it's like, you could definitely tell it morphed into a full computer game with regards to the CGI, but it wasn't so bad that it took me out of the movie. But with that said, like I said, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the storyline, but this is an origin movie, and for the most part, you've seen one origin, you've seen them all. And even though I enjoyed this movie, and yes, honestly, there was a part of this movie, there was a speech in this movie given by a certain character about certain things. And I don't know if it was because I was high when I watched the movie or I legit had this reaction, but like there's a certain part in this movie where I was just like legit bawling. I was legit in tears because of that speech that they gave in this movie. And a lot of it, I don't even necessarily think it was because I was high, but it's just I was feeling, and I think it was part of that too, but like as a person of color, I understood a lot of the things and a lot of the struggles that Jaime and his family had to go through. And I just kept thinking about the grief and the trauma that we as black folk go through. It's almost like you never really have time to mourn, because every time it's always this thing, then there's the next thing, then this person got shot by the cops. Or what's the name of the black kid that was just murdered recently? And O'Shea Grady, the black kid, the black gay guy that was just murdered recently here in Brooklyn, New York, supposedly one of the gay havens of the world, murdered simply for being gay, voguing in the middle of a gas station. And the person killed him because he said that offended his religion. But murder doesn't offend your religion? Like, make it make sense for me. But it's like, every time you turn around, there's always something that you can never really just grieve, because it's always moving on to the next thing, moving on to the next thing and fighting. And that was essentially the gist of the speech. I'm not going to give full spoilers, but like hearing that speech, it just caused me to just full on bawl. Like I was just crying, not even just a little bit of crying, like I was crying heavy. And I was next to Fantastic Frankie, both of us just bawling watching that movie and watching that particular scene. And so even though despite having that in the movie, and I did enjoy the movie overall, it still was an origin story. And so not even just in the fact that it was an origin story, I thought the movie was very predictable. Every single moment that happened in the movie, I was just like, okay, so this is the scene where this happens. And so it's going to teach Jaime this lesson, and then such and such and such is going to happen. Like literally, that happened in every single scene, in every single moment. I was like, okay, this is the part where this happens, or this is the part where this happens, or this is the part where this happens. So yeah, it was definitely very predictable. And obviously, being that the suit is an alien with its own sentience, and it creates a symbiotic relationship with Jaime Reyes, there's definitely some Venom moments, or a lot of references to Venom and things like that in the movie. And then also being that it is a suit of armor, it is very Iron Man 1 in a sense, except it's with a teenager, except instead of with an adult. So, and then also just the tropes of like, you know, obviously being a Hispanic family and dealing with racism and things like that, you deal with that. But it was also in a very tropey and predictable way. And that's not to say, again, I keep saying, that's why I wanted to say, I did enjoy the movie. But anytime you criticize a movie and say, oh, this was predictable, people are like, oh, he hated the movie. No, I didn't hate the movie. I don't know if you guys have seen, but this is the only review that I've seen. Generally, I don't like to watch reviews before I release my own review. But I did see, because somebody sent it to me in the group chat, but IGN rated this movie a 3. I think out of 10. Absolutely not is this movie a 3 out of 10. Like, and I don't trust IGN anyway, because they rated that god-awful Resident Evil Netflix series, which I did review. They rated that a 9 out of 10. And that was like the worst. I think it came out in 2021 or 2020. I don't remember what year it came out, but that was like the worst thing to come out of that year. And they gave it a 9. So you do not trust IGN. This movie definitely was not a 3. But I will say, overall, I would give it, going back to my old ratings, I would say it's a very high breaking even, which was basically like a C+ for me. And most of it is because like a lot of it was tropey, a lot of it was very predictable, but at the same time, I'm still kind of flipping back and forth on it, because it still had the heavy Latino culture. It still was a moment that made me cry. So obviously that's something that impacted me. But yeah, I thought it was very predictable. So I'm excited, but with that, I'm still excited to see where they go with the story going forward, because now they got the origin story out the way. Now they got Jaime Reyes as the Blue Beetle. We can see where they're going to go forward with the story. And I did appreciate and I did enjoy Cholo Matty Jr. as Jaime Reyes. I did enjoy the family dynamic and all of that. But like I said, I still thought the movie was very predictable, and you know, they could have did a little bit something more different with the tropes regarding the movie, because again, you've seen one origin story, you've seen them all. But I would still recommend that people check out Blue Beetle, because I still enjoyed it overall. Especially, it might hit you differently if you're heavily involved in Latino culture. You yourself are Latina, and grow up in that, so that you may, because of that, you may enjoy it way more than I did. And again, that's not to say I didn't enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the movie. Again, a whole section of the movie had me crying. But like I said, overall, I thought it was very predictable. And also, like, and this is why I stopped watching superhero trailers, and part of what led into the predictability. And I didn't watch all of the Blue Beetle trailers. I think I watched the first 2. But I regret watching those first 2. Even the teaser trailer, I do feel like so much of this movie was given away in the trailers. Like, even the teaser trailer, I feel like so much of this movie, so much of the references, so many things, and where the story goes was just given away in the trailer. Like, you're just like, oh, the next scene is going to be the scene in the trailer based on this conversation. Or we're going to see this is the part that was in the trailer. So I know what's going to happen here. And I know, like, they need to do better with not giving away so much in these trailers. Because, like, that's another reason why I felt the movie was so predictable, because a lot of it was in the trailer. Like, because this movie's not that long, and I feel like a good amount of the major moments were in the trailer, so nothing really surprised me on top of that. And then on top of the movie being pretty tropey and predictable, I was just like, okay, this is gonna happen, this is about to happen, oh, this is this moment, oh, this is this moment, you know, whatever, like, and it all happened, or this is gonna be the moment with this. Again, every single moment, I was like, oh, this is the next scene, this is the next scene, this is the next scene. This character's gonna say this, and then he did, or they did, or whatever, like, so, but I still had fun overall. Like, just because I predicted it doesn't mean it was bad. I just wish it was better. That's pretty much my rant about the movie. I still enjoyed it. I still recommend people would check it out, but for me, it was still very predictable. But with that said, when you check out Blue Beetle, maybe, like I said, you felt the completely different. I know Frankie did. She said she loved it. She absolutely loved everything about it. So again, that just goes to show the different, interpretations regarding the movie. So with that said, once you get to see Blue Beetle, let me know, how did you think about the movie? Did you love it? Did you think it was okay? Did you think it was mad? Did you hate it? I will say, out of the DC movies that have come out recently, it's definitely my favorite out of this. It's better than Shazam 2. What else just recently came out from DC? I don't remember. I just know it's way better than Shazam 2. But with that said, let me know all of your thoughts about Blue Beetle once you get a chance to check it out in the comment section below. Also, if you can, check out the other videos on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe for more. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.